Hey, what's up, y'all? It's Chris back with another video just to get into a conversation on Puma basketball. And this is a little bit more serious in regard to student athletes, name, image, and likeness, in particular with one of the most popular high school players, Mikey Williams. But let's jump into it. And the article is here. You can go to the description, click through, and read the article. But there's a lot that's going on. So no one can deny Puma's successful re-entry into basketball. At a point when signature and performance basketball sneakers became less important to sneaker culture, Puma decided to jump back into the market with what looked like just reckless spending and marketing. They made what many consider to be the major faux pas of sneaker endorsements by signing a big man in DeAndre Ayton. They missed on Zion and landed on his Duke teammate RJ Barrett, and they added oft-injured Michael Porter to the roster. But they also did some things that were spot on. So when we come over here, we get these pictures of Puma athletes and they explore the roster. And we see that they also added Chris Boucher, Michael Porter, of course, but they got LaMelo Ball, who was the rookie of the year. They have Skylar Diggins-Smith. And they have, of course, well, I'm skipping over Cal Kuzma, but I'm going straight to Breanna Stewart, Stewie, who is the first woman in 10 years to have her own signature shoe. Puma's done some amazing things while making some kind of quote-unquote questionable decisions as far as adding to the roster of athletes. But the one signing that they got was a top 5 high school superstar in Mikey Williams. So this is where the drama and the dilemma lies. Mikey was a top 5-star recruit. Mikey is now a 4-star, and he's ranked 30th by ESPN basketball recruiting. His ranking happened through no fault of his own. The drop from the top 5 was based purely on his sneaker affiliation. Now, this is important because I've written a lot about amateurism athletes and endorsements. And Under Armour, and this is important. So Under Armour was sponsoring UCLA for a short period of time after UCLA left Adidas. During that time that Under Armour signed UCLA to this really lucrative deal, Under Armour, because UCLA couldn't recruit certain players. Now, this is, if you're a basketball person and you're deep into basketball, you know that LA is Itop Udo Ima's territory as far as high school basketball and recruitment. The Compton Magic are legendary. But the Compton Magic are an Adidas program. So Adidas plays in a tournament that's called the Gauntlet. Under Armour has a tournament called the Association. I'm getting ahead of myself here. So let me jump back to the article and keep reading here. All right, so during Under Armour's sponsorship of UCLA, the school fell off the map in basketball. People who aren't familiar with college basketball recruitment probably have never heard of EYBL, the Gauntlet, or the Association. Each of these leagues and events are the foundation of basketball recruitment. That foundation for basketball recruitment is built on brand affiliation. So EYBL is Nike's premier travel basketball event. The Gauntlet is Adidas's league and premier event. The Association is Under Armour's entry into the arena of travel basketball. High school athletes at one point in time had to hope for a college coach to show up at their high school campus and recruit them from basketball practice or from their high school games. High school coaches held the power. Now, I used to be a basketball coach, and I'm making sure I show you guys this because I'm going to get into some personal discussion here. And but today, travel basketball, and for the last 30 years almost, I have to say all the way back to the 90s, travel basketball coaches control the market. And scouting by colleges has been limited to certain windows of time by the NCAA, which has made travel basketball more important than any other format of basketball for high school athletes. The result of this control by travel basketball is simple. You play in the EYBL Peach Jam, which is Nike, and your ranking goes up. You play in the association against other Under Armour affiliated teams, and your potential to be a D1 athlete skyrockets. If you play in the gauntlet with Adidas, same thing. More important, when you play in those brand affiliated events, more than likely that athlete that plays for an Adidas sponsored team is going to sign with an Adidas sponsored college, which is why UCLA had so many problems when they went with Under Armour and their program dropped a level. The elite athletes are going to Nike schools, Adidas schools, and then that third tier will be Under Armour with those Under Armour sponsored programs, Maryland, South Carolina, etc. Now on the girls' side, Under Armour is a powerhouse, but this isn't about the girls' side. So in this picture over here to my side, you see Mikey Williams, whose name, image, and likeness, right? The luxury brand MCM is currently running a Puma collab ad featuring Mikey. Both brands, Puma and MCM, are capitalizing on the talent and likeness of a young athlete, but neither recognizes that because Puma hasn't truly ramped up investment into grassroots, they are creating a dilemma which could influence how young athletes look at NIL as it relates to the brand. Mikey's contract with Puma is undisclosed. We don't know what's going on with it, but obviously it removed the ability for him to compete in either of the travel basketball powerhouse tournaments this summer. This caused scouts to drop him in the rankings. Did Mikey's talent decline? No. On the contrary, the young athlete is more explosive and intelligent on the court than he has ever been. Here's my personal commentary. When I was a young coach in San Diego, my first year was horrible. Now, and these are pictures from when I was coaching. You can see me here on the bench, and you see the players here. And obviously, this is, these pictures are representative of a really good moment when we started to improve. But what you don't see in this picture is who sits behind the bench of me, who taught me how to coach. And this is important. My second year saw one of the best turnarounds for coaching a basketball team in San Diego. I was a young coach, and basically by the time my third and fourth years arrived, my team, my Crawford team, and I'm just going back so you guys can see more pictures of these guys and the team. This Crawford team became one of the scrappiest teams in the city. And everybody knew it. You knew you were going to run into a difficult game when you played us. We may not have been the greatest team in the world, but from my first year to when I got a little bit better at coaching, there was someone behind the scenes that made me a better coach. That person was an ISS supervisor and security person who was always at practice. That guy's name was Malon Williams. Now, I didn't know Malon's history in San Diego. I didn't know him because I had lived in Memphis and I moved to San Diego. So slowly over time of Malon just hanging out, I started to learn about this dude's legacy. He was one of the most amazing players that San Diego has ever seen in high school basketball. By default, Malon was my assistant coach, but he never sat on the bench. That's Mikey's dad. Mikey is the son of one of the best basketball players and basketball minds to ever lace up sneakers in San Diego. Ever. So this is a kid who's going home to a coach in San Ysidro that when I left my job at Crawford, the person I chose to replace me was the father of one of the most celebrated high school basketball talents in San Diego and in California. That coach's name is Terrence Tucker. Coach Tucker heads up the program where Mikey has returned back home at San Ysidro. So San Ysidro has one of the best head coaches in the state of California in Terry Tucker. Mikey is returning home. And instead of his going home being a celebration, his Puma affiliation has caused him to lose status. Scouts and pundits are all saying he hasn't played against a high level of competition because he hasn't been involved in the signature sneaker events, and because San Diego isn't known for its basketball. San Diego has always been overshadowed by Los Angeles. Everybody in California knows that. But for Mikey to have dropped out of the top 5 all the way to number 30, you see where my mouse is moving here, is absurd. Mikey's college offers haven't diminished, but these rankings become bargaining chips and could possibly shape how and where Mikey ends up playing. With no real insight into his NIL contract, it's unclear if Mikey will be able to wear Nike, Jordan Brand, Adidas, or Under Armour in college if he is required to wear Puma. His father being adamant about Mikey going to college could become an issue. For Puma, the brand is now going to face negative recruitment tactics that college coaches face when recruiting athletes. Mikey could lose out on legacy building opportunities like the McDonald's All-American game. And Puma has basically created a problem, but the solution isn't difficult. It's not difficult. It is, however, a dilemma which needs to be worked on immediately. And this is a note. Most McDonald's All-Americans are selected from the top 31 players. Since the event is sponsored by Adidas, Puma would have to probably make an exception for Mikey. But with the unfair and manipulative rankings dropping him to 30, the system has an opportunity to justify his not being chosen for the McDonald's All-American game. It's super problematic. I hope that Puma is building out their grassroots system. In 1 year, they could counter any negative recruitment strategies, but who knows if they'll make the changes. What I do recognize is that Mikey should not have been dropped that low. At all. There's something to be said about great coaching, and he has that in San Diego. But more important, Puma is going to have to make a decision because we don't know what the specifics are of the contract. What I hope is that his sneaker affiliation does not prevent him from potentially jumping back up into that arena where he becomes a McDonald's All-American. Puma has an unspoken dilemma and potential problem that needs to be repaired right away. That's the end of this video. Hopefully you guys understand what I'm talking about and where I'm coming from. And hopefully Mikey has an incredible year. He's a hardworking kid with a fantastic family, great coach, and he deserves as much success as possible. Let's get rid of the fact that he has an NIL and that he's making money and all of this other stuff, and look at the fact that this is a kid. It's a kid who's being placed into one of the toughest situations based on a deal, that he signed, but that should not place the burden on the kid and the family to fix this. Puma has to do the right thing, and they have to correct some stuff, and I hope they do. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.